What's going on, y'all? Thanks for chiming in. Definitely tuning in. You are now rocking with the Spoon Fed Podcast. You already know who I am, Spoon the World, short for Spoon, whichever you prefer. But before we even carry on, today's topic, very influential, very informative, and most of y'all need to hear this. Because even though nobody's perfect, I see people making mistakes and the same mistake over and over and over. So, the position in your life is the result of the choices you making in your life. Period. There's no way around that. But before we even jump start to the topic, check this out. Like, subscribe, comment, tell me your point of view because we like to be interactive on this channel and we like to learn from each other, bounce off ideas. And but before we even get to the topic, and before we even finish that part, because everything, especially if you want to talk to me, my public social media be in the description. Uh, Splash IG and Splash website will be in the description as well, and anything else that you would like to know. But let's get to today's sponsor, Splash. We already know what Splash means. If you don't know by now, you're gonna know because this is fire. Some people love and some hate. And check this out: the other design on the snapback, you got love, and then when you flip it upside down on the other side, you got hate. That's just the way of the world, man. You can't beat that, man. Cannot beat that. But let's get right into it. Let me remind y'all what today's topic is, because some people have a short attention span. The position in your life are the results of choices you made. Period. Let's just go when we was children. When we were kids, just think of it. Every day you learn something, and I'm not saying you're supposed to be perfect. You're gonna make mistakes. But you got to learn from no mistakes. Remember, life is about learning, educating yourself, making mistakes, and learning from your mistakes. Some people's mistakes is bigger than others. And some people's mistakes may cost them their life. But that's that's in hindsight, because a lot of times you've seen it. People made bad decisions, whether they drove a car without a seatbelt, or they walked into traffic while they was looking at their phone. These decisions are what can cause you or cause your demise or hurt other people. So be mindful of what's going through your mental Rolodex, because that's all you got at the end of the day. If you with yourself, that's all you got. Be privy to the choices you make. And I'm gonna start from scratch. Like when we kids, right? If you was in a fortunate position to have both parents, even if you wasn't, there came a point in time where you understood right and wrong, especially as a little kid. You was taught right and wrong, or you felt right and wrong. What I mean by that is, like, even if you're not really taught it, you're gonna learn it quickly, because when you're wrong, you're usually gonna go through more pain, whether it's physical or emotional. So, but the whole point is to learn from the mistake, so the next go around won't be as monstrous or easy or even troubling. Because let me get to it. As a kid, growing up, when you were a little kid, before you were a teenager, your mother might tell you, don't touch that pot. And then you curious, so you're like, you know what, let me touch the pot. Let me see why she don't want me to touch it. And then you burn the hell out yourself. And then you screaming, and your mother looked at you, or she disciplined you like, didn't I tell you not to touch the pot? Nah, I bet you won't do it again. It's the same thing with adults in life. It's like, don't keep making the same mistake and thinking that you're going to get a different result. That is the definition of insanity. For real, for real. Because I see people, even my age, older than me, making the same mistake, and they like, yo, I don't understand why I'm going through these problems. Really? You keep making the same mistake. Remember, the universe, the world is going to give you the same problem, just in a different frame for you to understand it. And if you don't learn from it, sometimes it takes depth to cure certain things, because if you have a problem and you run away from your problems consistently, that problem's going to keep coming back at you until you try to solve it, beat it, or let it dominate you. Period. So growing up, we are taught early, like to say, let's get to teenage years from 13 to 18. This is when you actually know what's right and wrong, how to conduct yourself. Majority of the time, you're not gonna be perfect. You're a kid. But the thing is, At this point in time, our decision is supposed to be like this. What is our options when we're 13, 18? If we are in a healthy household and our job is just to go to school and fend for what we have to learn in school, our main goal is to be knowing what do we want to do? What do we dream of? What's our aspirations? You know what I'm saying? And also at this young age, you're supposed to be studying. You're supposed to be studying in school. You're supposed to be building up the discipline that's going to help you in the future. Some kids get lazy, so you know what? Man, I don't feel like studying. That's your choice. So, but if you don't have the right people behind you to say, hey, nah, we ain't doing this, to correct that laziness, you're going to keep having that laziness throughout your life if you don't discipline yourself to say, hey, I need to stop that. Or, check this out. At this young age, you have the option, which is all around, especially if you live in an urban environment, you have the option for drugs. Think about this. How many kids you know in the past that was actually on hard drugs? Where are they now? That was the option they chose. Some of them probably made it out. Some of them probably are successful, hopefully. But majority that I know that was on hard drugs, I'm not just talking about weed. You know what I'm saying? But even that, and weed is not a gateway drug, but that's another story. But the thing is, the choices that you make at a young age is going to reflect down in your future. So you got to keep that in mind at the end of the day. But I remember when I was a young kid, I kept that in mind. I'm like, nah, bro, I can't be messing up my life like this. Like, I gotta make the best decisions I can now because I already know it's gonna be harder later on. But people don't learn from that, man. Everything you do, every action has a reaction. Remember that. It's a cause and effect. You can't have one without the other. No matter how good it feels. And just think of it this way, especially when you're a teenager, you're trying to get on say if you want to play sports, you're trying to get on the JV or varsity team. What do you have to do? Your option is to practice and get better. Some kids don't want to take it seriously, and then that's a choice. They say, oh, I'm good enough, which they might be. They might be skilled enough. But remember, hard work and discipline and giving you that tenacity to keep going, that has to be built in you or has to be developed in you. It can't just happen. And that comes from the choices you make, especially with the environment that's around you. But more than anything, if you want it, you have to go get it. It's not going to be served to you. So that's just another way of choice. So if it didn't work out for you, you got to work harder. A lot of kids and a lot of people, it didn't work out for them. So they just, you know what, I'm just going to do me. Nah, you got to do better. If you knew better, you do better. You make the better choices. Period. And I'm gonna get to adulthood now. Adulthood, this is the most strenuous because mostly in your adulthood, when you reach like your young adulthood to adulthood, 18 and up, 21 and up, you pretty much on your own. You got to make the right decisions because, perfect example, if you don't make the right decision, like, oh, should I go to school? Or should I just, try to get a job, which is not a bad idea. Or should I try to start a business? These are all options. So sometimes you have to take a chance when you know there's a better way for you, especially if certain things is not feeling right. I'm not saying, go out there and party all the time, because there's people that do that. And then when I look to see where they at, they struggling on a regular 9 to 5, not a career job. I'm talking about a regular job that's paying less than $20 an hour. It's like you can't support yourself on that. But if you buckle down at a younger age and say, you know what, I need to make these decisions for my future and my future family, if I'm gonna have a family. But people don't think like that. They just live in the moment. And the thing is, you can't live in the moment. You gotta realize the options that you have now doesn't necessarily equate to the same options or more options in the future. As we see now, we have less options now when it comes to the workforce environment or housing, depending where you live. You see what's happening in the world. It's not getting better. Technology might be, but socially, the middle class is gone, and your choices can affect if you're going to be hungry at night, homeless at night, or your future's unfounded or not really in a promising direction. You know what I mean. Let me get to another part. Like, this gets me too. When we pick, or not me, but when women and men pick the wrong mate, it's like, bro, you gotta do better. But I mostly go on the female aspect. Like, if you was with a man and you had so many red flags and you ignoring it, and then you decide to have a baby with him, then he leaves you, that's your fault. I don't give a damn what anybody say. If somebody shows you certain love and affection, but you're not seeing the bigger picture, you're not thinking to yourself like, wait a minute, how's this person as a family man? How's this dude gonna take care of me and my child? How's he gonna function? How is he gonna produce for me and us as a family? If you're not thinking like that, you already failed. Real shit. Like I'm it's nothing, because I have a bunch of my, like, female friends, and I'm like, they're like, oh, but he wasn't like that in the beginning. Bro, stop it. Stop it. You've seen plenty of red flags, but you're giving too many excuses. That's your fault, sweetheart. The same thing with dudes. When you get a girl pregnant and you're like, damn, it was your choice not to wear a condom. Period. You didn't wear protection. This is what happens. Now you on child support, and now half your check is gone because you with a girl, you made it with a girl that you didn't really want to be with in the first place, and then you knew she wasn't the caliber to be a mother. So now you're gonna suffer the consequences. The same thing with the woman when you're dealing with a dude that's a bum, or a dude that wasn't really into you. These are the choices that you made. You have to get your stuff together early in order to have a healthy life in the future. And this is what a lot of people don't get. And it's just like this, like another one. Like, people keep making mistakes, like, oh, I don't know what's going on. I can't, like, this is the one I hear most of the time. I can't find a good man. Or I can't find a good woman. There are good people out there. It's just that you're looking in the wrong places. Your type is not matching up with your standards. And your standards are probably not matching up to your type. Because your type is probably not even wanting to deal with you. But this is the game people play. Like, they keep dealing with the same toxic people, and they wonder why they can't find a good match. Or they're problematic and very emotional, don't want to listen, and don't understand why nobody wants to be with them. It goes on. The shoe goes on both feet, men and women. And I'm like, bro, listen to what y'all doing. One thing you have to understand: you cannot keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. It's not going to happen. What you must do, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, what am I doing wrong? You have to actually sit down and look at what you're doing first and realize the choices that you're making in your life that could be affecting you and others, especially if you're a parent. If you are a parent, and which I've seen this a few times, I've seen parents that I was friends with, and that are parents now, and I'm like, yo, you just recreating the cycle. Like, I'm not gonna throw no names out there, but I'm looking at like, yo, bro, like, shorty, you letting your son do this, you doing this around your son, and you don't understand what you're doing to your kid and yourself. Because at the end of the day, what you do in front of your kid is gonna be mimicked. And when they get of age and they realize certain things that you're doing, they won't respect you. They're gonna be like, bro, how you gonna tell me to do right, but you was doing this in front of me? These are the questions that people don't ask themselves, because the choices they make don't last long besides the right now. They're not thinking about in the future. So the whole point is, I'm pleading y'all, any choice that you make was for your future. I'm not saying stress yourself out, but make the best decision. Think about it. Don't just make an emotional decision. Make a conscious decision on how you feel about it that's going to push and elevate yourself into the future. You was listening to the Spoon Fed podcast. I hope y'all learned something, because this could save a lot of y'all from tragedy and torment and unwanted trauma. Have a good day, y'all. Enjoy y'all summer. Splash.